Hi, my audience on Dominus Nisi. I am excited on this studio. When I get someone on live conversation, that's where the excitement going really, really high. And today, it's a great day because we are talking about health and we are talking about the great wealth that our Creator provided to us. And how do we keep that health? But before that, let me introduce a wonderful guest here, Dr. Alfeen Varghese to my show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Bismi. Thank you for having me here.
I know that you just came from Gold Coast to
Yes.
Melbourne and
Yes.
having a good time with your family, but
Yes.
I thought, this is a wonderful opportunity to my audience
Mhm.
to find out how this medical doctor became a motivational speaker, how this medical doctor putting time and effort
Mhm.
consciously to make your health better
Mhm.
and then showcasing that health is wealth. So these are the real reason why I want to talk with you.
Sure.
And as I know your name, your wonderful things from your cousin Anne and Monsi, our community knows them very well, but we do not know much about you. So can you please share who you are and what are you doing?
Okay. Thank you. First of all, thank you, Bismi, for having me here. And thank you for all the wonderful work you're doing.
Thank you.
You are very inspirational, and I was looking at all the things that you're doing, and I'm honestly really inspired by you. So thank you
Thank
for
you.
all that you do. Coming to my background, well, I was born in India. I did my medicine, my undergraduate and postgraduate medicine from India. We worked in the missions for
Mhm,
about 3 years, and then my husband got an offer to work in the NHS in the UK,
mhm,
being a pediatric neonatologist looking
mhm.
after premature babies. So
Yeah.
he got an offer to work there. And then we moved as a family to the UK
Mhm,
in 2003. I retrained from being a physician to become a
mhm,
general practitioner in the
mhm.
UK,
Okay.
completed my exams, and started working as a GP there. And soon the calling of the sun and the weather in Australia probably took its yeah, the calling, and we moved to Australia in 2008.
Mhm,
Worked for a few years in a clinic, and then I felt quite strongly to start our own clinic. So we started a medical practice, my husband and I, and another business partner, and we ran our own clinic. It was called Daintree Medical Center.
mhm.
This was in Wodonga, on the
Okay.
border between Victoria and New
And New
South
South
Wales.
Wales, yeah.
We worked there for a few years, and it was all going great. And that's when I got into coaching. I
Mhm.
went into leadership training because running a business is something we as doctors are not. You give us patients, we can deal with the patients, but the
Yeah.
nitty-gritty, ways of running a business is very different.
Mm.
So I needed a bit of training and leadership, and John Maxwell came to my mind. I
Mhm.
researched John Maxwell. He was a pastor before. He had
Yeah,
a lot
he
of
was.
Christian
Yeah,
values and leadership
yeah.
qualities in him
Mm-hmm.
that I personally
Mm-hmm.
yeah, was completely mesmerized by. So
Yeah.
I wanted to learn from him. So I started the John Maxwell leadership
Mm-hmm.
training. And while I was doing that, I thought, why not do a course in coaching? And then
Mm-hmm.
while I was doing that, oh, why not do mentoring?
No.
Why not do motivational speaking? So I did all the
All
four
different things.
lanes
Yeah.
in that training program. And yeah, and I was working as a GP as well at the same time.
Mm.
So that's how I kind of transitioned into coaching. I didn't stop working though. I was still working
Mm-hmm.
full time as a GP, but I was doing leadership training for high school students in Wodonga.
Mm-hmm.
I was mentoring business women,
Mm.
running courses, doing motivational speaking, all of it at the same time.
Wow. So
Yeah.
that's almost like a big bunch of double duty,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So
Kind of.
yeah,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I know that if you love something and if you do that, you
Yeah.
don't feel like it's burned out. So
Yeah.
mindset,
Not
it's
at all.
like it's more of like filling you and then
Yeah.
doing more and more. It was
Yeah.
that the experience or is it?
100%,
Yeah.
100%. It was like, what else can I do? I was looking around and seeing, how else can I work with the community? What else can be done?
Mm,
It never felt like it was a burden. I
mm-hmm.
was intentional in
Mm-hmm.
seeking opportunities
Yeah.
in order to serve the community. That
Mm.
was the
Yeah. So in a way, I would say you were like, doing medical health as a
Yeah.
GP
Yeah.
and serving the community, but at the same time empowering the other
Yes.
side. And how did
Absolutely.
you find out that skill set that you earned during that time? Is that sort of like impacted you personally, but how about your business and how about your community?
So with the business, because I was so blessed. My husband was looking after the whole business part of
Mm-hmm.
it. All I needed to do was look after my patients and look
Mm-hmm.
after the staff,
Oh,
which
okay.
I loved. I love people.
Mm.
I'm very curious about why people do what they do.
Yeah.
And that kind of got me into looking into behavioral psychology and behavioral profiling.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so
I'm
that,
actually doing a bit of like a double thing because I want you to go to Facebook Live.
oh, okay,
So
yeah, sure.
I'm sorry for cutting you off.
That's okay, no problem.
Yeah. So yeah, talk to me about your husband because I'm interested about helping husbands.
Yes. I think from a from a spousal perspective,
Mm-hmm.
I've been very blessed.
Mm-hmm.
My husband is someone who is very comfortable and confident about himself.
Yeah.
So supporting me didn't become an issue for him.
Yeah.
I think when you are comfortable in your own skin, you don't mind supporting your spouse.
Mm.
You'd have a problem with supporting when you're uncomfortable, you're insecure. That's when
Mm.
the problem comes.
Yeah.
If you're secure enough in the knowledge of who you are and
Yeah.
what you're
What you're
capable
doing.
of,
Yeah. Yeah.
not a
That then you
problem.
don't need to worry too much
Not at
about,
all.
So, I just deviating my topic, but again, that supporting partners, that's what I would say, like a husband and wife rather than like, now partner is a better term, I would say.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that understanding you, that's a better way. So as a speaker, what will be your like top three things that to connect that partnership together, like lots of breaking up in the relationship is happening, and
Yeah.
then we know that it's a trend in a way, but at
Yeah.
the same time it's a pain in the community. But what do you think about it to connect that relationship and continue that without problems? What will be the best way?
I think it's very, very easy for two people who come together in the early years of their marriage.
Mm.
As they progress through life, it's
Mm.
very easy for them to get into a disconnect
Yeah.
and run parallel lives rather
Mm.
than walk together.
Mm.
They could both be running in their own tracks,
Yeah.
but completely individualistic, completely looking at what's in it for me. What am
Okay.
I getting out of it, rather
Mm.
than who am I serving?
Mm. Yeah.
When you start looking at yourself and you're looking at what is it for me, what am I going to get, you're not going to get anything.
Yeah.
You're not going to get. Then all you can think about is your empty cup
Mm.
and how empty it is, how dirty it is, how rugged it is. And it's not a good looking cup at all.
Mm.
Whereas when you look at your partner's cup and
Mm.
think, how can I make that cup better? How
Mm.
can I serve him or her? And it's both working. It's both have to think about it
Yeah.
that way. That's when the relationship can transform and
Mm-hmm.
continue in different seasons, because every season is different, right?
Mm.
How we were when we were in our 20s with
Yeah.
young children is very different to us now as empty nesters.
Mm-hmm.
We're both empty nesters, so we're both having a lot of time together. It's
Mm-hmm.
a very different season. So it's important that you don't look at yourself, but
Mm-hmm.
look at how you can serve the
Mm.
other
Other
person.
person.
And that's when it can become
Yeah, I
more
think
fulfilling.
that sort of like, picking your words as well. Like I love that you mentioned about seasons. Like you were in UK, that was one of your season.
Oh,
But if
yes.
you think about your time back in India,
Yeah.
you were really dreaming about a job and then you did your 100% to your undergraduate and
Yeah.
postgraduate,
Yeah.
started to work out dreaming about that. But when you gone to the other season, you had to study again
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
like different rules, different people,
Yeah.
different mindsets, so and
Culture.
then culture as well,
Oh,
and then
yes.
from there
Yeah.
you were following sun and then in another country. So what was the common theme, or what was the I can't really say problems, more of like what are the motivational points, that glimpses that you had on all those seasons? Like I
Yeah.
can see that you've gone around the world
Oh, we
and
have.
then
We have.
yeah,
Yes.
touched all different
Yeah.
places.
Like working in a mission hospital
Mm.
where you don't get a loaf of bread.
Mm.
You have to travel 80 kilometers to get a loaf of bread.
Oh, okay.
Where if you see a crate of eggs, you're like, oh, wow, I've got eggs for breakfast. From there, moving from there, Actually, let me retract. Growing up in Bangalore, in a
Mm-hmm.
city where you can wear jeans and t-shirt and no one
Mm-hmm.
will look at you. I mean, they look at you, but no one's
Doesn't care.
kind of
Yeah.
interested. Going to a village where if I didn't wear a sari,
Mm.
um, people will wonder, like the men wouldn't come and see me as a doctor, even though I was a physician, because they thought as a woman, I would only treat women and children.
Ah,
So
okay.
even though I was a physician, they would go and see Ajit, who was a pediatrician,
Mm.
because he was male.
Yeah, okay.
So I had to change my mindset into thinking, how do I engage with the people in a
Mm-hmm.
village
Mm-hmm.
and not stand my ground and saying, this is who I am, take it or leave it. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't do that. I
Yeah.
had to engage with them. So in every situation, if you look at life and the last 30 years, I've had to go into new environments and mold myself as like most of us who have left our country.
Mm.
We've all had to mold ourselves to the culture. The key is, what is your mindset when you're doing it? Are you
Mm.
doing it because you want to or because you have to?
Mm-hmm.
I did it because I want to.
Gotcha. Yeah.
At the age of, I think I was in my 30s, when I restarted my whole training program to become a GP. I was a physician from India. I
Mm.
could have stood my ground and said, you know what, I'm a physician, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
But I knew I wanted to be a GP because I loved
That.
that life
Mm.
where you go in, you're seeing all these patients, and then you finish work and you go back home. You
Yeah.
have no on calls, you have, no
You got a
hospital
real
shifts.
work-life
Yeah,
balance.
great.
Yeah.
So I wanted that. And
Mm.
I knew if I needed to be top of that, I had to do my fellowship,
Mm.
which meant I had to wake up at 4 in the morning,
Yeah.
study till 6, take the kids to school, drop
Mm.
them off, do, shifts with Ajit. He used to do a 9 to 9 shift in the
Mm-hmm.
morning to night. I used to do a night to nine. And we
The.
had no family there. So
Mm.
it was just us, as with most of us.
Mm.
Most of us don't have family support.
Yeah.
It's about, are you doing what you want to do? Do you love what you're doing? And
Mm.
can you see the future and say, okay, that's what I'm hoping to achieve?
Yeah.
And that vision kept me going, I think,
That's
in all the
great.
different
I'm
phases.
thinking about other friends who are in the medical area and then thinking about like the passing that exam to become a GP or start something here.
Yeah,
They're always demotivating them because it's so hard to juggle with family and then their
absolutely.
experience and their
Yeah.
studies. So how did you cope with your mental health system back in UK?
So we had 4 parts to the exam. With
Mm.
everything, I always, whenever you get a huge problem, and this is
Mm-hmm.
my thing, I always chop it into little bits.
Mm-hmm.
So I had an exam that I knew had 4 modules,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew in the space of 1 year, I wouldn't be able to do all 4 modules. So
Mm.
before I started general practice, I asked the college if I could do one module beforehand, which was the MCQ part.
Mm-hmm.
And they said it would be hard because I hadn't had any general
Yeah.
practice experience, and asked me to hold back till I started my
Mm.
general practice year. But I know my capacity. So
Mm-hmm.
self awareness was huge within me.
Mm.
I knew I wouldn't be able to physically do the 4 parts. So I did one part before
Yeah.
and then did the
The
other
third
three.
one.
So compared to my peers,
Mm-hmm.
I actually had an advantage because I'd finished one bit.
Mm.
But it also meant that I was working longer for
Yeah.
a larger period of time. But in the end, I finished my fellowship. It is about always chopping the bigger problem into smaller
Yes, yes.
problems and dealing with each one of them
Mm.
on its own basis
Yeah.
rather than looking at the bigger problem and getting
Mm.
overwhelmed. So, yes, mental health was challenging. I had the 2 children. Audrey was, I think my daughter was 2 or 3 years old, a
Mm-hmm.
toddler, and our son was going to primary school. Ajit was working full time. It was challenging,
Yeah.
but the goal kept me going. I knew I had to reach that goal, and that's
Yeah.
probably what's helped me.
Mm, that's
Mm.
interesting because with little kids
Oh,
and
yes.
juggling everything is a bit hard. And did you feel better when you moved to Australia, or is it where was all this like in a year? I would say like in a health conscious mindset started.
So it started probably while we were in Scotland,
Mm-hmm.
with the weather there. It's a beautiful country. It's
Mm.
almost postcard like everywhere you turn. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful country. The people are warm, not like the weather. Amazing people, amazing country. But
Mm.
I could see where our family was going in
Mm.
those 6 years that we lived there. There was no physical activity. Having
Mm.
grown up in India, where you have athletic carnival, you have
Yeah.
sports carnival,
Yeah.
children play basketball, volleyball outside.
Mm.
There was not much happening there. There was an indoor gym for the children, and that's all they did in school. From a physical perspective, Ajit was becoming pre-diabetic. He was not even 40, but he was becoming pre-diabetic. And there's a strong family history of diabetes and heart disease in his family. So I was getting a bit worried and cautious about where do I see my family in the next 10, 15 years. And it didn't look
Good.
very healthy. It didn't look
Oh,
very healthy
and
at
then you
all.
could read
I
because
could,
you,
yeah, I
yeah,
could
okay.
see the signs.
Yeah.
And then I started praying about it. And I said, God, I really want a place where I can live this life with my family for the next 10, 15 years, because by then my son's going to go into university and he's off. We've got another 10 years. What is the best place to be? And general practice in the UK, those years were very challenging. It was, we had to do a lot of night shifts. We had to go to home and do home visits, which was a bit unsafe. And I wasn't very comfortable doing that as well. So I started praying about it, and I gave God three choices, a list of three things that I wanted. And I said,
These
I
three
want these
options.
three things. I
Okay.
prayed about it, and I saw this advertisement in Australia for a
Mhm.
GP, and they were giving me exactly those three options that I wanted.
Okay.
And I knew that was a sign, and I applied. And then I spoke to my husband about it.
You already solved the problem and
Yeah,
then notified
which I
us.
believed, yes. And then
Yeah.
he wasn't very keen on moving, but I prayed about it, and I said, "We won't move till you agree." And then I just prayed that people will speak to him about it, and a lot of our friends, God willingly spoke to him, and then here we are.
That's great. I can see that connection to your gut, to your creator. That's
Yeah,
where you
very,
getting that signs
yeah,
and then following those signs. And I
yes,
think that's always the best way rather than,
100%.
putting 100% into the scientific research or
Yeah,
responses.
yeah.
You can have that feel if you are really connected to the creator. I totally believe and agree with that as well. So, let us I was just thinking, let me know how you started that health wise. You were really checking your family. Where should I be? Where should I do as a mother? Because I'm thinking as a mother myself, I never think oh, that far. It's more of like a maybe survival mode for me to find, food on the table and
Yeah,
then,
it's a season.
that type of season. But you are really good to connect yourself and then that futuristic mindset.
Yeah.
So when you are in here in Australia, what was your next steps to take your journey into this very grounded motivational speaker and then doing that with a purpose? So,
So the intention was always to serve. If God has given me some kind of a gift, how can I use that gift to serve? So you take yourself out of the picture. It's never about you. It's about, I remember John Maxwell saying, it's always about that one person in the audience who needs to hear God or needs to hear something special. And God is just using you. So I'm just a medium.
yeah.
So it was always this humble desire that God, who do you need to speak to? And let me be the medium. And so that's how I moved into motivational speaking. And even when I used to go and speak to an audience, it was always with the intention of what did the organizer want their audience to hear. It was never a scripted speech that I had. It was never a scripted um, material that I had that I kept dishing out. It was always, God, what does this person need to hear? That one person in the audience, what do they need to hear? And it was praying about it, writing down my thoughts. And sometimes all that I wrote would be completely different to what was being said. And it was, as I would be saying it, I'd be like, where did that come from? I, haven't prepared it at all. So the deep connection with God and letting God do his what he needs for his people to hear was very important. And I think that's how I'm just being used.
Yeah.
I'm just being used by God.
Yeah, I love the way of, taking that because that must be because of your way of like, where did you get the training from? Because the current world is more of like a motivational speakers world, and then their goal is to gain money or, get more platforms, not like utilize me as a medium for the audience. So, but I like the way that you're thinking that because if you doing that with that purpose, you never get discouraged,
Yeah,
because you are 100% sure that at least one person got
exactly.
impacted with what I told, because
Exactly.
it's what God asked me to do, or that's
100%.
what that person or that
Yeah,
time needed.
yeah,
So I like that. If you are listening, I would say the speakers should pick up that mindset rather than finding out your stages and your areas or the number of audience. It's more of like searching for that one person
yeah.
that really needed that
Needs to, yeah,
message. Yeah.
yeah.
I really want to come back to your health. I know that you have done something really like, close to your health regime, and then you can see that difference in your life.
Yeah.
Can you share a bit more about that one?
So with all that I was doing, I was probably till about 2019, I was doing working 12, 14 hours a day, doing all these wonderful things that I was capable of doing. And then I started having some symptoms in my body that I initially didn't acknowledge, because in my own doctor mindset, I was like, I had my own diagnosis, I had my own management plan, my treatment plan, and they were all pushed to the side because I was so busy doing what I loved, right? But it came to a point where I couldn't function, and I knew I needed to do something. And once I decided that something had to be done, then things just, it was like a pack of cards. It was a domino effect.
Yeah.
Everything just collapsed. Everything collapsed with the diagnosis of a thyroid tumor, having a thyroidectomy done, then ending up with fatigue, with severe pain across my whole body. I had fibromyalgia before, but it kind of became, it was almost taken to the next level. I was so sore. I was so fatigued. I couldn't turn in bed. My husband had to physically move me in bed in order for me to function. I couldn't lift a kettle. I had to make sure I had 1 cup of water in the kettle to boil so that I could lift it. I was, yeah, it was really bad at one point of time. And going through that journey, maybe for the last 5 years, has been quite phenomenal, because that probably was the most fruitful time of my life, the last 5 years, when I was incapacitated, asking God, why me? What now? Where from here? It was very challenging, but I think God just allowed me to be. I would get mad, I would cry, I would get angry, frustrated. But I realized during the whole thing that God only gives you how much you can handle. And when I looked at it, I thought, okay, if you think I'm strong enough to handle this, great. I'll
Go
handle
for
it.
it,
Yeah,
right?
I'll handle it. Let me do what I can. And I always remember God telling me, don't look for the big things. What is it in your hand? Do what you can.
Yeah.
Do with what's in your hand. And that's probably what I would encourage everyone, rather than looking at the big, the big thing, like you said, speakers looking at different platforms. How can they promote themselves? Look at what's in your hand and look what can you do with what's in your hand. So I looked at what's in my hand, and it was nothing. I had nothing. I was just lying in bed. But what I realized was I had all this coaching material that I'd used for clients that I could convert into courses. So then I got a virtual assistant, and she helped me build up courses, build up my website. And we did all of that over 3 years. It took us 3 years, 2 to 3 years, but that's what had happened. But during this time of rehabilitation through chronic fatigue, I learned a very important thing of pacing myself. So you do some activity and then you get tired and then you go and rest and you kind of replenish all that lost energy, and then you perform again. You do some activity and then you rest again. So that was my life. I would do whatever I needed to do, and I thought this was it. This is how I'm going to live the rest of my life. But maybe in the last 6 to 7 months, I came across some supplements that I started taking, which helped my energy tremendously, in the sense that I realized that I didn't need to nap. I didn't need to go to bed at 8:30 because I have an alarm set at 8:30.
Okay.
Because if I don't sleep at 8:30 and wake up at 5:30 the next morning, my whole day is gone. I need that hour of that time of rest. I didn't need that. So I started talking about these supplements, and I started talking about it to people. And because I had patients from before, I started talking to patients about it. And then that has helped them. And so the understanding is, don't accept. I mean, earlier I used to say, accept the situation and move on with it. But my mantra now is, of course, accept the situation, but also see what else can be
Can be
done.
done.
Because God has not given up on you. So why are you giving up on
Yeah.
yourself?
Mm. I can really connect with, I always put this song like, God is not done with you. That
Yes.
song is really helping me to like, motivate my listeners, because my program is always on Friday afternoon to take them to that, relaxation mode.
Yeah.
And I always put that type of song and then say goodbye to all this like, malicious thoughts
Of
and
course.
those type of things. But you experienced that in
Yeah.
your own life, and
Yeah.
then you looked at that. I would say that's a medical area that they're investing. More than 75 doctors and PhD students are doing all these
Scientists, yeah.
supplements that you're doing. And because I recently came to know about this specific company, and then they're doing a launch in November for Indian audience as well.
Yeah.
So it's really a testimony that we can see that where you were, that you can't even take a glass of water with the full energy, and now you are flying around and talking about that transformation.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. So, and it's more like, I love the way that you're connecting everything to your God, rather than it's not your own energy or your own way of doing it.
Yeah,
It's more like, you clearly feel that God got a purpose for you, and then He is turning around and He is more of like a molding you, that one. So that's sort of like, almost exact mindset that our show has, because we are promoting that spirituality, that you believe in your creator rather than in yourself. Like, we need that confidence, we need that mindset. But if you don't feel that, yet you're here, you are someone else's masterpiece, not yours, because someone has already created you with a vision, with a purpose. You
100%.
just, walking through that one. So that's really powerful when we hear that from a medical doctor, because you have gone through all these scientific ways, how science do things in miraculous way, from DNA to fingerprints, all that genetic style. But you can clearly say that there is God. So can you share a little bit about that close connection with your creator? What is the reason behind it, or what's your that connectivity with him?
It's faith. It's faith. Because if you are looking at life and all that you set out to do on your own self, the responsibility is too much. You're carrying a huge burden. You have to plan it out, you have to execute it, you have to look at all the do's and don'ts, everything. Whereas when you have faith, it's actually not so bad. Isn't it? I struggle when people say they don't have faith, because I'm like, the easiest way to live life is to live a life of faith, because A, you know who has created you. Two, you know you're created in whose image. Three, you know that it was not a chance. There was a reason why you were created. You were known before you were even created in your mother's womb. The Savior, your Father, knew you. There's a time to be born, there's a time to die. And the time in between is for you to function. So for me, this has kind of been my life story, mainly because I've gone through so much in life. I was never someone who got it easy. I had to work hard to get into medicine. I had to work hard to finish medicine. I had to work hard to get into an MD medicine, into general physician's training. I had to work hard to finish it. It was always with faith that I was able to go overcome all these hurdles. On my own, never. Never would I have achieved it. And the reason why I went through those hurdles is because God knew that there were all these people along the journey who needed to be blessed, and He was going to use me. It was not about me standing on the mountaintop and yelling out anything. It was all about the people who needed to be blessed. And if we all look at our lives that way, it'll become less burdensome, more fruitful, and more productive. And of course, it'll be filled with love, peace, and joy.
Thank you. That's my tagline for my show. Listeners, I would recommend to stay on with the next week shows because I'll be bringing more people to talk about this wonderful remedy that she experienced, and then how you can be partnered with, and then how you can share that with your loved one back in India. So I'll come back with all those details for another episode. But I got a couple of more questions for Alfie. So, Doctor, you mentioned about that connection with God. That's powerful, and that's amazing. Again, I'm, saying if I hear that from a medical doctor, because that's what we need for this younger generation. Because at the moment, I can see even Catholics and Christians, they're going to that new energy, new gen
Yeah.
way of connecting to the energies, and then angels and numbers, all those things.
Yeah.
So to me, I feel like they're going towards the creation, not to the creator. So
Yeah.
they're missing that spine between you and to that creator. So can I share, check with you, what is your future plans? I know that you have lots to share. You mentioned about your training courses, and I know that you're going around states to share the story. What's your future plans to motivate us?
So my husband and I, we also do personality profiling. That's something I didn't talk about. So we do that through the John Maxwell disc profiling. So that is again something very interesting for me because we have a whole generation of young people who are coming out of high school, going into university, not knowing who they are
Yeah.
and what they want to do with their lives. I can see a lot of young ones getting into multiple courses, starting different things, and not finding their groove. So we are quite passionate about that. We help young ones do a personality profiling questionnaire, which is only
Yeah.
about 10 minutes, but gives us a detailed understanding of who they are, who they think they are,
Yeah.
how the world sees them, and how they actually manage stress,
Yeah.
which is very important because then we are able to give them tools on how they can understand themselves better, how can they deal with themselves better, and also try and find career choices for them, fitting into their personality profiling. You want people to thrive in their career. You want people to be in a workforce where they love what they're doing, like what you're doing. You obviously are shining in this sphere.
I love this.
You love, I mean, I could see that you love what you're doing.
Yeah.
How many people can say that they love what they're doing? So I'm very passionate about that. That's something I'm doing. I'm also talking about the supplements and how you can check your antioxidant levels with a scan.
Do you have Prism?
I don't have
I
it
think
with
it's
me.
coming up,
It's
right?
coming in
Yeah.
November, yeah.
Yes.
But I have the biophotonic scanner.
Okay.
I have that. So with that, I'm able to check antioxidant
Yeah.
levels and find out if someone needs more supplements, whether they need to prevent their cells from dying quickly, or whether they need to look at their heart health, their bone health, and all their immune system.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm passionate about that as well. So there's a lot happening. And then I'm also coaching. So
Okay. How can we reach out to you if we need someone come and do in our schools and in our community?
just email me at Alfeen, my first name, at gmail.com. Alfeen at gmail.com, and I'll respond to the email.
That's great. I was thinking because I know that Anne is our best friend here in Coimbatore, and then he used to come for our Malayalam Jalagam program for many, many years. And then you were here in, here Albury, but we couldn't really have a conversation. But I believe in the time that God wants us to connect and then share the good news together. So with my show, I mentioned there's love, joy, peace is my tagline, and that's where people coming here and spreading. So just for my listeners, from your experience and from your life, is there any specific top three rules that you keep to be like in that moment of sharing love, joy, and peace? Because as I mentioned before, I totally believe if your cup is not full, you can't really share. And if you are not practicing what you are preaching, there's no point because you can't really give that motivation or impact to the audience. So we love to hear your top three rules.
So the first one is being self-aware. It's very important for you to know your strengths and your weaknesses. The more self-aware you are, the more you're able to handle criticism, the more you're able to handle resentment, the more you're able to handle negativity, because that will come. The minute you put yourself out there are more arrows that are going to come on you, against you, than to a person next to you who's just sitting quietly in the corner minding their own business. So the first thing is being self-aware of your strength and weakness, so you know exactly who you are. So when you get criticism or when you get praise, you can handle both equally. Nothing goes to your head, neither the praise nor the criticism, because you know who you are. You know why God has created you. You know who you are. Your identity is firmly entrenched in God. So whether people love you or hate you, doesn't matter. So being self-aware is very important. How do we become self-aware? Spend time with God. In the morning, I spend a lot of time just praying, just acknowledging God, His greatness, His mightiness, and being so grateful for all that He's done in my life. Even though it was the worst state of my life, at that point, being grateful that yes, I can sit up. Yes, I can hold a cup of tea. Yes, thank you, Lord. I'm alive. Just those small reasons of being grateful. So being self aware, having quiet time with God, being grateful. And the third one is forgive and let go. You should be able to let go of people who are not for you and let go of situations that are not meant. Like we were able to sell our practice, which was absolutely thriving, and move on. And I could just look at it and say that was the season. And there was a bit of regret, but I didn't hang on to it because there was a season for us to bless people in the community through it and with it. It was a season to walk away. So you should be able to let go and not be so caught up with people and with stuff because that's not your purpose. That's not your purpose. Your purpose will be shown to you eventually as you keep speaking to God, as you keep walking in faith. But you don't have to cling on to stuff. You've got to let go.
I'd say that let them theory and let it go theory is really, it's really powerful. And then that helped a lot for, in my life as well, because it's so hard to, say bye to the things that's so attached. And then so we think that it is so connected to us. So that's a three, I would say, with a variety of three rules that I can hear compared to other guest speakers, because I love the way that you connected that prayer as a word, because people usually mention meditation or quiet time, but you call that as a prayer. So because
it's a conversation with God.
It is.
Just simple conversation.
It is. It's connecting that core to yourself and then see what we need to do that day. So that's very powerful. And this forgiveness and then letting it go is also like, it's a best way that you can be happier, I would say, because everyone is having that baggage that you can't even take or you can't even handle, but they think that it's their responsibility. So that's a great message that I can share to my audience. So again, audience, if you really want to connect and you feel like you resonate to the values and then the grounding messages, that's what I like with this conversation. It's so grounded, and then feeling that confidence that I have a purpose and I am made for it. So if you feel like you need to get some connections and conversations with Dr. Alfeen, it's alfeen@gmail.com. And then there is a lots of conversations happening in her Facebook page as well. So Dr. Alfeen Varghese, you can connect with her. And I'll be putting the links right after this video. And if you are seeing me in live, and I can see so much of people are saying, Yvette Thomas Mohan saying, thank you, very well said. Jonah Abraham, Cynthia, Joseph Tekken, Frida, lots of people are having, in the live. So it's a purpose that we can see here. It's not what your technology mindset or your what you have changed. It's more of like what God want you to do. So thank you again for this wonderful conversation, and thank you so much for having this time in between.
It's just
You are transit, I would say. You are going
God ordained.
you are going to the next session soon, tonight or
tomorrow.
tomorrow. So it's so grateful to see you and then getting that wisdom and then connecting to my personal life as well. It's not like, sometimes all these guests are teaching me a lot of lessons. And then when I feel like, oh, this is not going to be good with my life, but the stories and then the things
Mm,
from the other side, when we hear that,
yeah,
I can see how grateful I am because my life is much, much better than that anyway. So thank
100%.
you so much, and all the very best for your future and then motivational work
Thank you.
that doing. And more than that, let God bless and protect you because
Thank
you
you.
have that great, confidence that He is guiding you. He is leading you wherever He wants to, and
Yeah.
then you are really surrendering as an instrument for Him. That's so you're so much like taking me into that mindset rather than stressing about what you need to do.
Yeah.
So thank you so much again,
Pleasure.
and
Pleasure,
then
Lisa.
we will connect, and
Yes.
then let many people get benefited with your wisdom and then your connection with your God. And
Amen.
our God. Amen.
Amen. Amen,
Okay,
Lisa.
so my listeners, this is a great conversation that we had today. And if you want to know more about how Dr. Alfeen changed that chronic disease and then how she became that powerful woman, I again encourage you to connect with herself and through the email addresses and through the radio interviews that I'm putting up in the Facebook page. And this is Bismi Palati signing off from Dominus Nisi on 88.9 FM.